Folks, just before we move on, this came out an hour ago, and it's interesting because it says the National Hurricane Center has posted a hurricane watch for the Cayman Islands and a tropical storm warning for Jamaica. It says if it becomes a tropical storm, it will be named Raphael. It says the system is expected to move near Jamaica by late today and be near or over the Cayman Islands late tomorrow into Wednesday. So we have a tropical storm warning, whereas in the Cayman Islands, it's a hurricane watch. So we pray that they'll be safe. All right.
We have a lot of friends there, right?
Yep, we move on.
All right. Speaking of storms, exciting times in the United States. Tomorrow, they will be having their elections, but what effect will those results have on Jamaica? Joining us now to discuss more, development economist Sandre Roden here with us. How are you doing,
Hey,
sir?
Sandre. Good to see you.
I'm up and early.
Yeah.
Look here, man.
My co-host, man, I was say yesterday.
This is not early. Early is 4 o'clock when the alarm goes off.
Early is
Right, I won't argue with
Early
that.
is relative anyway. Thanks for joining us. So first off, your thoughts on what you've been seeing in the lead up to this U.S. election. Lots of Jamaicans plugged in.
Well, it's quite interesting, really, because the election shaped up in a way we didn't expect it. We expected Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. We expected to see a rematch. Some people didn't expect a rematch because, we're saying, Trump lost. And normally, naturally, they change candidates. And that's just the case because people don't normally go back to the wicket because they're like, oh, I've done my time, I lost. Let's move on. But of course, we saw that tussle and Trump coming back in as the Republican candidate. Some people defected, not supporting him, but eventually they did. Of course, we saw where Joe Biden, all of us who are on the outskirts would look, at the interviews, at the statements and say, nah, I'm not too confident that he can do another term. We've all been saying it. And the Democrats said to us, no. He's sharp, he's strong, and then that interview that just, put the nail in the coffin, it would have just ended his own political career.
Debate.
Yeah, the debate, right. And, that debate led to this parachuting of his vice president or his vice presidential candidate to now the presidential candidate. Mixed feelings about that, mixed emotions about that. People on the other side are saying, listen, this woman never really ran a primary. She never ran in the Democratic Party to see if she was the best candidate. That's what they're used to. They just parachuted her. But of course, the leadership in the Democratic Party was like, we didn't have any time. We just needed somebody. We're going to put somebody there.
Coalesce.
Yeah, we're just going to coalesce around one person support. So that's what we've seen. And of course, that will have an impact on the Caribbean, specifically Jamaica.
I think they've said 70 million have already voted. Do they make the early voting results public? Does everyone know who leading in the different states that they have early voting?
Right, not necessarily. In some states, they may have some preliminary information that they put out, but what we see and what we know is that there has been polling that they'll ensure that, like, after you vote, both sides, for the most part, would have persons saying, who did you vote for? And then you answer. But the problem with that, and I spoke to somebody who was on the Democrats' campaign last week, if I'm not mistaken, and he said how they won in 2016 was that there was a silent majority for Trump, meaning a lot of persons said, we voted Democrat, but they voted Trump. And that changed the game with them not being sure of if the polls are actually accurate. So now those are the question marks that we have because we see CNN releasing their thing, and of course we see other stations, other networks, CNBC, releasing their thing. Everybody doing their own polls, and of course we don't have clarity.
What we do have are the percentage splits of how many Democrats have voted, how many Republicans. Of the early vote, X% is Dems or registered.
Yeah, registered.
Because again, you can be registered at Dem and go and vote Republican. You see gender splits. Folks are saying because of what they're seeing with the gender splits and more women voting, that it looks like Kamala has the advantage. Other folks are saying this is a dead heat. What do you make of this being a dead heat, especially in light of the context that you gave with Biden being criticized for not having it all together? Trump is an old candidate too.
He is.
And if you have seen his recent rallies, there are many folks who have concerns about also his state of lucidity.
Well, you see, the thing is, I think Trump has been in TV for a while, so he's good at playing it off. So if he has, any faux pas, he's good at playing it off. So even though people have concerns, you see him one time and he's down, next time he's up, and then he'll just say, I've been tired. That's his statement that he uses. And when you look at it, it is a dead heat, because I put to you that I would not have expected to see an election campaign being run as if Obama was on the ticket again if it were not a dead heat. The Democrats have stated that they want to leave nothing to chance. I've never seen so many celebrities, almost every celebrity they could bring on that platform was on that platform in comparison to Trump.
Does it make a difference to Jamaica who wins here?
Well, it does. And
in what way?
I give you two figures.
Okay.
20% and 30%. 30% of our GDP, tourism. About 20% of our GDP, roughly, remittances. 60% of our remittances come from the US. And then, 60% of our visitors as well, roughly, come from the US. So those are very rough figures, though. When you look at those numbers, that says not only that US and Jamaica, US is our major trading partner. I think about 42% of our trade is with the US, $1.1 billion about that. When you look at that, you think about migration policies, major things that both candidates are campaigning on. Trump, more protectionist. Kamala has a little bit more of an open border policy. But the way the elections have shaped up,
When you say protectionist, what do you mean?
Make America great again. Solo America, we are protecting the citizens
Keep out
first.
the foreigner.
Keep out
Protectionist
the foreigners.
to me, almost sound like it has a positive feel.
Yeah.
Well, it is a positive feel if you're an American citizen, because he's appealing to those people who are saying America should be America for America. But then the idea is that America should be this country for all to come in. And, that's the other view, the other side to it. And then when I spoke about the 20% at first, because the remittances are major for Jamaica. But not only that, there are two sides to remittances. There is legal remittances and there is illegal remittances. Not saying the remittances are illegal, but the persons who are there have not yet regularized in the US system. So they are making those funds, sending back to their families, but they're not regularized.
Why you jump at remittances? Are you suggesting that either one, it could be less remittances if one is a president? Or...
Right. So it definitely would be. Why? Because if one particular candidate wins, notably Trump, if he wins, he's focusing on that idea of, the US first, America first, getting out illegal immigrants. So if you are not straight in a particular timeline, he's getting rid of you. And then he says, in particular, he wants the bright ones, he wants the smart ones, the ones that can drive the US economy. So if you're doing those other jobs that don't necessarily pander to what they want to do, then that wouldn't be the case.
The ones that the Americans don't want?
Don't want. The ones that the Americans don't want, because they're very open.
Also important to note, we speak of policy implications for Jamaica, but also important to note the number of Jamaicans who will have a say in this election.
Yeah.
Only power over there.
Yeah, millions, actually. And that says a lot, because now they have to think about what the options are. And it's a bit crazy, I would say, now, because a lot of black people are voting for Trump. There are even Jamaicans that are voting for Trump. There are Jamaicans as well who are voting for Kamala. And that split is a bit different now, because a lot of people have lost a little bit of buy-in in the Democratic Party, as normally Caribbean and black states. But why did we buy in at first? 2014, US president came, he invested a lot into the Caribbean, aid, etc.
Yep.
So that's a major reason why there is buying. But now a little bit has changed. It's shifted because people are saying they don't see that type of support.
Yeah. Final question from me, and I'm not asking you who you want to win, but from what you've seen, what you've read, who do you think will win?
That's a tough one, Neville. That's a tough one. But based on the numbers, based on the campaigning, it's really tough. I think it's really an even split. Trump possibly can win, but Kamala possibly can win. But I think that based on us not knowing and that silent majority, there could be an edge to Trump, while we might just see an upset and seeing Kamala win.
So you think if Kamala, Sim, you think if Kamala win, it's an upset?
Yeah, I think it's an upset
They have her as
because
the underdog.
Yeah, she is the underdog because Trump has been in the rodeo before. He's done it before. They know their tactics. They know what they're doing, and now the Democratic Party had to coalesce around Kamala.
Well, they did it though.
Yeah.
With 107 days and left when she actually got the nomination.
Yeah.
What she's been able to do in that 107 days.
It's remarkable.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
To even be in a dead heat. So,
Yeah.
so there's hope. Forget the question I was going to ask. Does it help? Does it help with the Jamaican vote that she's half Jamaican?
I don't think it does. I don't think it does. Her father came out in strong opposition to her in an article about something she said about marijuana. And I think a lot of Jamaicans are very loyal to people who, lived here, and her father was one such. So, I think that Jamaicans take everything with a grain of salt. We're like that. We're going to say, boy, she has Jamaican heritage, but we've never really known her as I identify as Jamaican, which has been a statement a lot of us have made.
Gotcha.
Well explained. Good to see you again.
Yikes. Well, this excites. Tomorrow's going to be a day.
It is going to be.
But it's going to take forever to get the results.
Yes.
But still, thank you very much.
And of course, if Trump loses, him where he said, is rab him.
He's already saying
Yeah.
in the early voting phase. Development economist, Sandra Roden with us this morning. Thank you, Sandra.
Coming up, we look at AI in cybersecurity.